this is what really bothers me about you having Klay Thompson over James Harden on your all-time shooting guard list. The Golden State Warriors are the best team of all time, and it wasn't even close. And the only single team in the NBA who gave them a run for their damn money was James Harden and the Rockets. The fact they're able to take that team to 7 games speaks to how great a player James Harden is. No? You disagree with that?
No, no, no. I disagree with one statement you said. That was Chris Paul, baby. Don't you forget it. What was James Harden before Chris Paul? And what was James Harden when Chris Paul left?
What
What
was
happened to
James?
James Harden and company when Chris Paul went down?
It's
They had
showtime.
the worst, and I repeat, the worst shooting performance in, I believe, NBA playoff history. These guys couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat.
My man. How many other teams are taking the Warriors to 7 games? A fully healthy Warriors team with Kevin Durant, the second best player in basketball, Steph Curry, the third best player in basketball, Draymond Green, a bona fide superstar in defense, one of the best defenders of all time, Klay Thompson, the best 3-and-D Wayne, Steve Kerr, more rings than his own fingers, a Hall of Famer, one of the best benches, and the same exact team from 2017 that was literally unbeatable. That 2018 Warriors team, how many games did the Cavaliers take him? How many games did LeBron James take that 2018 Warriors team, Brand?
4-game sweep.
0 wins.
Yeah.
Harden and the
So,
Rockets had 3.
no, not Harden and the Rockets. Stop it. Chris Paul.
But
It's not a coincidence once Chris Paul goes down, they blow game 6 and game 7, and game 7's in Houston, James Harden's house.
it's not a coincidence
It's
every
not a
single season
coincidence
Chris Paul
that
runs down.
when Draymond Green is asked if the Houston Rockets were ever a problem or an issue for them, he laughed them off and said, "We were never going to lose to those Houston Rockets teams ever
You
because
want
they
to know why?
understood what was going to happen." Need I remind you what happened in um in the second round of the playoffs? I believe the year before that they took Golden State 7 games. The year before that was just James Harden, I believe Dwight Howard. Okay, against the Spurs in the second round. In game 5, he had 9 total turnovers and got blocked on the game-winning game-tying 3 in overtime by Manu Ginobili, right? And
There's
then
no
in game
Dwight Howard in
6,
that team.
and then in game 6 with no Kawhi Leonard, by the way, no Kawhi. The Rockets get blown out, and Harden's stat line was 2
Yeah.
for 11 from the field and 2 for 9 from 3 with 6 turnovers, a minus 28, and he fouled out of the game.
That one
That's
stings.
just one of many of James Harden's failures.
That one really does sting, and it might be the worst failure of Harden's career. That game, look, it was terrible. You want to know what's almost as bad as?
Hmm.
Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals. Now, Draymond Green, who you mentioned before, he was the one that was saving Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, who was getting double teamed. In spite of Steph constantly drawing doubles, and in
Oh,
spite of having the greatest year next to him, Klay Thompson was
timeout.
an absolute no-show in that Game 7 as the Warriors finished what
What
would
about
be.
Curry?
But you're not listening to what I'm saying. Curry was constantly double teamed. And so you had to make the right play. It's kicking to your teammates. Klay Thompson shot 2 for 10 from 3. And if he's one of the 7, 8 best shooting guards of all time, he's got to make his shots. 35% shooting, 14 points, and a negative 11, and a 4-point loss. Klay Thompson was one of the biggest reasons they blew a 3-1 lead. That is way worse than James Harden. Let's say it how it is. After being the clear MVP that season, averaging 29 points and 11 assists, then in the playoffs, like we've seen Kevin Durant the last 2 years, running out of gas because it's unfair to hold a player to a certain standard in the postseason after for the last 75 to 82 games, he was consistently an MVP candidate, giving you 30 and 11.
Hold on.
No human being can withstand that type of
Hold on.
load for 100 games.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Was it Klay Thompson who threw that ball behind his back late in that game? Or was that Steph Curry? And I don't believe he was double teamed either on that play. No, I didn't see a double team. There was just one guy in his face and he just threw it right behind his back. Yeah, that's Klay Thompson's fault that his teammate is being lackadaisical in the waning minutes of a fourth quarter, game 7 on the line in Oracle. Yeah, that's Klay Thompson's fault. Klay Thompson's not known for being fancy. Curry's for that. Curry is a new age player that likes to get a little cocky. And that's one of the reasons a lot of people like him. It's one of the reasons I like him a lot. I like it, bro. You're a small guy who gets crapped on all the time. Yo, not talk your ish, bro. Talk your ish because you're the greatest shooter of all time. You worked your ass off to get here. But time after time, we've seen Curry get lackadaisical, get too overconfident, and that's not Klay Thompson's fault. Klay Thompson's never been known to do that. Klay Thompson is Mr. Fundamentals, like I said last week. This guy is not going to beat himself.
How'd that
Is
work
he
for him when
gonna
he wasn't making shots?
John, you I think you said earlier in this episode, right? That you pride yourself on being a shooter, right?
Yes.
Then you, of all people, should know, do shooters go through slumps?
Yep.
And how do you get out of it? You just gotta shoot through it. So I can explain that as Klay Thompson going through a shooting slump. He had a slump, and so
Shoot.
did his buddy Steph Curry. Draymond was the guy who showed up. That he probably would have been Finals MVP that Finals run if because he dropped I think 32, 11, and 10
Yeah.
or something in Game 7.
He actually did show
What,
up for that game.
what I'm saying with James Harden, okay, you pointed to that, but I can point to Klay Thompson. I believe freaking shot the boys out of the gym, the arena in OKC in Game 6, I believe, of that playoff run.
That was
I
insane.
mean,
That's
we
game
could we
6
could go
Clay.
tit for tat, but what you can't go tit for tat is Klay Thompson's shortcomings to Harden's shortcomings because they've been more consistent and prominent.
Do you want to know the reason for that? I'm sure, Justin, you would agree with me here, and if you don't, you can surely jump in. I just said before, Harden was the runner-up for MVP to Russell Westbrook that year, but Harden didn't have the team around him. You thought he had Dwight. Dwight Howard was not on that team. It was Harden, Lou Williams, Patrick Beverly, Eric Gordon, Ryan Anderson, Trevor Ariza. That is not much better than that OKC team that Russell Westbrook had around him. And we praised Russell Westbrook for losing 5 games in the first rounds, but we discount Harden for going 6 deep with the San Antonio team that had one of the greatest coaches of all time. And though Kawhi was out, still a really well-rounded team filled with former All-Stars that played the game the right way. Harden just, let's say how it is, had a terrible game, but that one single night should not discount the fact that season, yet again, Harden averaged 29 points and 11 assists. Klay Thompson
In
never come close to either of those
in
teams.
the regular season,
In the regular season, yes. That's what gets you to the playoffs. Because think about it this way, he played 82 games, led the NBA minutes that year, 38. And so we're going to discount him
didn't play
for
defense
one.
though.
I'll be honest with you. I love this, but sorry to burst your bubble, Brandon. But I don't think Klay Thompson can do half of the things that James Harden can do on an NBA floor. As far as his talent on the offensive side, yeah, Clay's job, and I won't knock a shooter. A shooter's gonna shoot, and that's his job. His job is stand at 3 point line and knock down shots. And before all the injuries, he's guarding your best man on the floor. So I'll give Clay all the credit in the world. And honestly, I was struggling whether or not to throw him in my top 10. I'm a big fan of Clay, but yeah, man, James Harden talent wise, I don't really think they compare. So I would have put James Harden over
But
Clay Thompson.
like I've said before about talent, right? You can get lost in talent.
But
A
the
lot of
thing
people
is,
get
even though you could say, yeah, we can get lost in talent, but we're not talking about future NBA prospects. We're talking about established ones. His
no.
talent is clear cut
We are
better.
no.
He's done the
I
best
wasn't.
with his
I'm not
talent.
questioning the talent. I'm saying that you can get lost in the talent, and what
But
I'm
we're
going to say
not.
is that talent indicative of winning in
Yeah.
the playoffs? No, it's not. You can look at James Harden's numbers in the playoffs. Yet the scoring, the points, the assists, and the rebounds will be there. But take a deeper look at that field goal percentage. Take a deeper look at that 3-point percentage. It goes down. And usually it goes down almost each round of the playoffs. I attribute that to, I think you guys can agree that in the playoffs, the game speeds up each round it goes on. The game is called different each round it goes on. It's a tougher game, more physical. James Harden's not that's not James Harden's style. James Harden is a finesse player. He takes advantage of the rules in the regular season where we all know teams do not play you the same way they'll play you in the playoffs. So you're getting away with a lot more and a less attack on the defensive end than you are in the playoffs. He's entering the playoffs. The numbers, the percentages go down, and he's turning the ball over at even more rate than he is in the regular season because I believe he's led the league or been in top 5 in turnovers basically every single year of his career.
I never think that's fair to hold against a player.
I'll give you that point. 9 turnovers is no excuse though, but I can give you that point.
Agreed.
Again, which going throughout the playoff, each time he would come up short, and this is coming from a guy when he first got traded to Houston. I was a big fan. I was a huge fan of James Harden and Dwight Howard, and then year after year after year after year after year, etc., he failed, and he kept failing. Him, okay? You talk about they were outgunned and outmatched. Okay, I give you that for a whole series, right? But in that 2017 playoff run, 2 games left. You got a 3-2 lead over them. Chris Paul's gone. You're the leader. John says it's his team. He's the Rockets. The Rockets go as James Harden goes. You got 2 games. You only need 1. Game 6 is in the Oracle. Game 7's back home in Houston. Okay? Just need 1. Anything can happen in 1 game. You guys agree with that? Anything can happen. A series, I give you. 1 game, anything can happen. You could slip on a banana peel.
Mm-hmm.
All you need is 1. He didn't even get you 1. Lost in game 6, what a lot of people expected. Went to game 7 and failed. And the whole team failed because, as John said, the Rockets go as James Harden goes. So James Harden had one of the worst performances ever, and the Rockets as a team had one of the worst performances ever.
Can I say something, my man?
Go ahead.
We gotta still hear your top 10.
Yeah, I understand. We'll cap that off. I want you to realize we're not just looking at the talent James Harden. He led the NBA minutes in 2015. He led the NBA minutes in 2016. He then nearly led the NBA minutes again in 2017 without a co-star. And you talked about, hey, look, the Rockets only go like James Harden goes, which is understandable because those heliocentric offenses revolved around Harden. If he's missing shots, if he's shooting 41% and just 32% from 3, we got an issue when those 5 turnovers are coming around too. But look, man, while the NBA may officiate differently in the playoffs, you can't deny the fact that him leading the NBA minutes nearly for 3 straight seasons, for any NBA player, they're going to get injured. He didn't get injured. He played through unimaginable wear and tear in the postseason, and that was a large reason why he struggled. Dude, when you're constantly handling the ball and you're doing everything on your own, the way Luka Doncic does now, he's still missing 17 to 10 games a season. Harden literally was the NBA's Iron Man that again and again and again led the NBA with 82, 81, 80 games played. And you said that he failed again and again. I recognize that. He did. He was bad in elimination games. He struggled. He had good moments in scrappy teams like the Timberwolves. And when it was time to show up, he failed multiple times. But you had to see things from the other side. You can't just zoom in at that because when you take a closer look, you realize Chris Paul failed him. How realistic is it to expect a guy that just nearly led the NBA minutes for 3 straight years to beat 4 All-Stars on his own when all of his teammates are not helping him by supporting with shot support?
1 game. I didn't say a series. I said 1 game, and we all agree that anything can happen in 1 game.
We all agree this is the greatest team of all time he's up against, right?
Yeah. AI got you 1 against the Lakers, didn't he?
Well,
James Harden.
Do you recognize the difference between game 1 of an NBA Finals where you're playing each other for the first time and Game 6 and Game 7 when you're playing against two of the
Well,
three
no,
best players in the
I'm
NBA
not gonna
and two
discredit that. I'm
more
not gonna
All-Stars.
discredit that. I'm not gonna
There's
discredit that.
there's
All I'm
there's
all I'm
levels here.
No, I understand that. I understand that. I'm not gonna discredit that. I was just talking about the one game instance. It's one game.